Hey there, and welcome to exercise number 97. If you want to solve this one on your own, then click on the link in the description. If not, keep watching and we're going to solve it together. In this one, we need to write a function named currySum that will be used to add numbers. Now, I'm not going to give you any additional description like in the previous exercises. Instead, you're going to figure out how to implement this function by looking at the example here below. So you're going to need to look at the example and write a function that behaves correctly for this example. So let's go through it. First line, I'm going to console log currySum, and I'm going to call it without any parameters. And this is going to return 0, so it's going to print 0. On the other line, on the next line actually, I'm going to call currySum with a number 1. Then the result is going to be another function which I'm going to call again without any parameters. And this will return 1, so this number here. Now, things get more interesting when we have multiple invocations. So I'm going to call currySum with 1, and then I'm going to call it again, so the result is going to be called with 2, and then that result is going to be a function that's going to be called again with without actually any parameters, and the result should be 1 plus 2, which is 3. Moving on to the next line, we're going to call currySum of 1, 2, 3. Those are not individual parameters, those are individual invocations. And then finally, again, we call it without any parameter, and the result should be 1 plus 2 plus 3, and that will give us 6. So I think you can kind of guess what this function needs to do. So it needs to add numbers. Each invocation is gonna return a new invocation. Each invocation of the function will return a new function that's going to get a number as a parameter, and if we call it with a number, it's going to get another function that can take a number. So we can kind of do that recursively, as you can see here, until, and that's the exit condition, until we send it without any parameters. So when we call it without any parameters, that's the end. We add all the numbers we have before, and we return the result. Now, this being said, let's go here into the right side, into the code area, and solve this function. So, the first thing we gotta do is do the initial condition, like if we call it without any parameters. So let's just put here a number, right? And we're gonna say if number is undefined, so there's no number, return 0, right? This will solve the first line. So we can actually check it. Let's just do console log, and we get a 0. Perfect. Next, if we look at the second line, we call it with a number, and then the result we call again. So it's going to return a function, right? So it's going to return function inner curry. Let's do it like this, right? And this one is going to get, well, let's say this one doesn't get any parameter. Let's just first do this example. So let me just copy it here. So we're going to call this one with 1. 1 is going to be number. We're going to get the function. We're going to call it without params. And then it's going to get 1 here. So here I should say return number. And now if we test our second example, we should get 1. Okay, this works. Now these were the easy cases. Now we need to make it kind of recursive in a way, because we have the third example here that I'm going to copy paste, in which we call it with 1, the result is going to be a function, which we call it with another number, the result is going to be another function, and so on. So here we're going to have an inner number, and we're going to need to do a verification. If this inner number is undefined, which is the case with this here at line 17, so if this is undefined, we just return the number, right? And again, our code still works. Now, if it's not undefined, then we need to add those two together, right? But we may also have like another invocation and another invocation and so on. But actually, you know what? For the moment, let's just do line 18. So I'm just going to do return number plus inner number. And now if I comment this one, I should get, so I call it once, I call it twice. Okay, yeah, no, it's not going to work because you need to call it without any params. Yeah, I thought this was going to work for the last one, but it doesn't. Sorry. So what we need here to do is actually return another function that may get a parameter or not, and so on. So actually the result is we're going to go back to the initial one, currySum of number plus inner number. Now I know this will be a bit mind-bending, but let's go through it. We first take currySum of a number. If there's no number here, return 0. This is at line 17. Then we're going to return an inner curry that's going to get another number. If this one is undefined, we just return the previous value, number. So this is what we have at line 18. Now, moving on, this is actually going to return another function, because you can see here at line 19, we call it a 1, then we call it again with 2, then we call it again without any params. But if we look at the example on the left, we can call it multiple times by sending numbers. So here, if I return the currySum and I add the numbers, what's going to happen? I'm going to go here, I'm going to return currySum. So I'm going to call currySum with 1 plus 2, 3. We're going to get a 3 here. Now, if this is going to return a new function, if this isn't going to have any params, we're just going to return that 3. Otherwise, we're going to keep going and keep going. Now, I hope that makes sense. If not, I highly encourage you to to take this code, paste it into your editor or in a browser. You can do it in Google Chrome. They have the snippets property, and debug it. If you debug this code, I think it will make a lot more sense. But for now, let's just keep going. I'm going to uncomment this, so we get 3. Let's just take this example here. We should get 6. And let's just take this example here, and we should get 285. Now, this looks good. So let's test our solution, and voila, it works. Cheers, and see you in the next one.